It's 2015, and most say the music industry is dead. Digital downloads are kind of the way people listen to music now. Album sales are down. There's a little glimmer of hope with vinyl making a huge resurgence. But for the most part, being a music fan in 2015, it seems like it's on the downslide. And when I say a music fan, I'm not, criticizing people because I'm not saying people don't like music. Obviously, people listening to music, but it's just the whole support system of how it used to be is just kind of gone. And I've come up with a system today that I'm going to share with you to hopefully be able to do your part to support any and all music scenes and the industry and everything without breaking the bank and without having to go completely out of your way to do anything. So once again, I'm your host, Zan Morning, and Brent's here with us today to give us his thoughts on my new system. Brent, are you excited or what?
I have no idea what the hell's getting ready to happen, so I'm completely stoked.
Good. Because we both are going to fall into a lot of these categories that I'm going to talk about. So, you heard the intro. What do you think about being a music fan in our current society?
Well, sadly, it should be the easiest time, like in the history of music, to be a fan, because everything's at your fingertips. You can download, go to YouTube, listen to almost any song ever produced. So, it should really be easy, but at the same time, that almost makes it harder to be a, I guess, quote unquote fan.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that too, it kind of, you remember that feeling back in the day when you took a shot on an album at a store, or you were scouring the internet back when the infancy of the internet, and you came across a band that you're like, oh man, I got to check these guys out. Like, to me, I still get that feeling when I find a new band online, but I think one thing is, like you said, the detriment is having all that at your fingertips. It's cool because you can go on and check out and maybe go buy some of the stuff from these bands. But at the same token, I think it kind of loses its luster. Do you see my point there?
Yeah. It's almost, we suffer from almost too much, like oversaturation, I guess is one way you could put it.
Yeah.
Because it's almost too easy now. And I know I found myself, I'll get on YouTube and I'll, want to listen to a song, and then I'll do the recommended thing. And it's like, yeah, that's a really cool band. I'll write a note. And then that's it. Where, used to back in the day, I would go to a store and, check out the cover art, talk to the people there, and then, pick something up and be like, oh, yeah, this is great. This is incredible. And like you said, you get that just wonderful feeling inside that's just really hard to replicate without, into a different, topic. I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm a nerd like that. And now it's just, I don't know. It's almost oversaturation, I guess, is about the only thing I can really think of right now.
So I've kind of fallen into that too. I'm sure both of us went through the downloading phase when it first came out.
Oh,
and then I just kind of got tired of it. The quality, you always hear musicians say, oh, the downloaded quality is awful. I wouldn't say it's awful, but it definitely lacks compared to what a CD or an LP would be.
Right.
So I really did not want to steal from the artists unless they put it up themselves for free. Generally, right. I'm not going to download music. That's just me. I'm also not going to pay for digital music, which we'll get into at some other point in the show. But let me just ask you, I guess, from a personal standpoint, what's the last album you bought? How long has it been since you bought like a new album from an existing artist?
Probably the last like actual physical album I went and bought. Oh man, I'm trying to think. It hadn't actually been that long. I was trying to think if there was anything after I bought that Candlemass.
So what? A couple months then?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, because you were with me whenever I bought those. I was trying to think if I bought something between here and there, but I really can't remember if there was.
So do you remember back in the day when we used to buy like once a week?
Oh yeah, I would. It was nothing to go up to like Best Buy or some of like, the independent stores and everything up there and drop $100 bill on just stacks of music.
And I was even doing this, a lot of people would say, well, you can do that when you're in high school. But I was even doing this after I moved out, and I was actually making less money. But for whatever reason, I kind of hit a rut. And I don't know if you're in that same boat, but just for personal experience, like what in your situation, can you think of something that stopped you from going out and seeking these things now?
Honestly, just distance is part of it. Money's part of it. I don't have near enough to blow on music like I used to. I say blow. You know what I mean. But yeah, distance because, we live outside of town. And I don't want to go buy my albums from Walmart. Sure, I might buy a Dean Martin album or something from Walmart,
Yeah.
but I'm not going to go buy, the new like Uncle Acid at Walmart.
Or like you said, the Candlemass, you'd never even find those.
Right. Yeah. And so a lot of it's the distance. I don't have time. I'm way too busy to actually go to a store and physically stop in and buy. I would love to. I would like to tell myself that, yes, you have time. You can work it out if you just get off your ass. But in reality, when I'm running everywhere else, I just, don't usually find myself doing it.
Okay, yeah, and I totally agree with the distance thing. And because of that, I've started ordering online more. So I'll ask you that. I mean, when's the last time you ordered something online? And do you even use that avenue to buy music as far as like ordering and then having them ship it to you?
It's been a long time since I ordered music online. I don't even remember what the last one was, to tell you the truth.
Interesting. I mean, I buy more from that than I do anything because of the distance, like you said. But I've started trying to get back into it. I've been buying music once a month, once every other month. I at least try to buy one album, and like I said, a physical copy, not a digital. But I think I've come up with a system, Brent, that hopefully will get you back into the groove. Hopefully, it'll keep me going. Hopefully, it'll keep everybody else going, and then maybe people who don't know anything about buying physical music like it used to be back in the day. And when I say back in the day, I'm even talking like early 2000s because I think the record industry was still kind of booming at that time. So this is going to help a lot of people get into a couple things. The first thing you need to do is you need to become diverse. What's your favorite genre right now? What would you say your favorite genre is if you could pick one?
Oh wow, that's actually a harder question than you would think, especially here lately.
Or maybe just something you see yourself listening to quite a bit when you want to listen to music.
Honestly, classical like metal, like the early Metallica type stuff.
All right, so let's say you're a huge early Metallica fan. All right, so if that's what you listen to, and you just mentioned Dean Martin, don't rule Dean Martin out. Go check out Dean Martin. I mean, seriously, that's a huge problem with not only metal fans, but just any genre. If you're a huge fan of Taylor Swift, generally you're not going to go check out an Exodus album, which I think they should.
Oh,
I mean,
definitely.
That's one thing people need to do is they need to start becoming more diverse with their musical tastes. And then the other thing that I have too that they need to do is support the industry. Now, Brett, I know we've probably got some political opinions on how these things work and how the bands get screwed out of these deals and they need paid and it's just the guys at the top taking all of it. The fact is, if we don't give them the money to support these albums, and it could be, when you see a band on tour, buy their merch. It could be something as simple as that: a $10 CD, a $5 T-shirt. Yeah, a lot of that money might not be going to the band, but it's going somewhere that somehow goes back into the band, if that makes sense, like to the label or whatever. The band might not make a lot of money, but hey, it's better than just downloading it for free. So that's something that you're going to be doing with this new ideal system that I have laid out. But before you even do anything, the first thing you got to do is stop being lazy. And that's kind of the thing that I've seen a lot of people do. I actually saw a quote on Facebook. I'm sure you've seen this, that there's good music out there, but people just can't seem to, that it seems like they hit that stage where like once they're out of high school, they stop trying to find new music. Yep. I've hit that to a certain extent, but not like that. Like to this day, I'm still seeking out new music, but probably not to the extent I used to. So where do you fall in that as far as, I guess, being lazy, so to speak, as far as finding new music, keeping up with your favorite bands or seeking out new bands?
As far as keeping up with bands, I have gotten very, very lazy. I really, truly have. Just straight up confession. As far as finding like new bands and everything, honestly, it's actually not been too bad because most of my friends listen to different types of music. And, I don't have anybody else that I'm friends with that listens to any type of like psychedelic music like you do.
Right. And,
you're always finding some weird psychedelic bands like, hey, check this out. This is really cool.
I just find weird bands in general.
Well, right. But, and that's awesome. That's great. And so it helps, you're always introducing this. We've been doing the reviews and everything. We've been trying to force ourselves to do new ones, to do, to branch ourselves out from, the normal comfort zone of albums we've owned for 20 years.
And I love doing it too. I mean, it gives
Yep.
you a fresh perspective on all different stuff. So
Yeah. And, I've got friends that are really into, like the Breaking Benjamin, the Bullet for Valentine, the reviews that we've done here just lately was all brought on by a couple buddies I've got that, this is the type of music they enjoy. I never would have listened to it otherwise. And so as far as finding new music, it hasn't actually been that bad. As far as buying new music, we haven't been going to concerts a whole lot lately. Just, a whole lot of reasons that we don't need to go into right now. But I always try to buy at least one item when I go to a concert from a band if I like them. I don't care if it's like a $3 button. I'm always trying to buy at least one item from a band. But I mean, other than that, I'm pretty damn lazy as far as like not making myself go to a record store or something like that. So,
well, and like you said, I'm not trying to criticize you. I'm just like I'm trying to bring up points that maybe this is why people are not going out and doing things. So, like you said, you were lazy, that you maybe didn't keep up with a band you loved, no matter what that band is, or that you didn't order music online or anything like that. So, I guess for you personally, what would be your reasoning for that?
Honestly, one of the big reasons is I get caught up doing other stuff, and I will listen to the old stuff I've got. I get real bad about falling into my musical comfort zone, I guess. Mm-hmm. As far as like, when I'm driving around, I've got the same things on, I've got an iPod that I keep, and I plug it into the stereo and the pickup, and I listen to what's on there. Rarely do I ever change that out. So, you just get in old habits. And then the other parts, honestly, I've been so strapped for cash the past like probably 4 or 5 months that any type of expenditure over like $40-50 is painful.
Yeah.
And so if I'm not actually going by a record store specifically, then I honestly usually don't have the money to do it, or I don't think I do anyway, so I don't.
Yeah, and there's so many things I could get into that you just talked about. Well, I think we'll kind of get into those as we go through this system here. So, like I said, the first thing you need to do is, stop being lazy. And now I'm not saying you have to be a music aficionado at this point either. Right. Just, the first thing you need to do is maybe take 1 hour, 2 hours a week, maybe. Everybody's got cell phones and smartphones. Jump on there and see, what have you been listening to lately? Have you been jamming to? I'll use myself, for example. I'm looking forward to the new Christian Mistress album. Yep. I've been checking out this black metal band Craft that I love. I just got the new Uncle Acid. So I'm listening to that stuff. And, I will start looking, well, what are some other bands that kind of sound like this that I'm unaware of? So there's different tools that are completely free to use. As you said, we have all this stuff at our fingertips, so you might as well seek it out. Some things you can check out to give you similar artist lists, and they're usually dead on. The first one I'll check out is Last FM. It's kind of like Pandora for anybody who hasn't checked it out, but they have a really good section of if you like this artist, check out these artists, and they're very, very close to telling you, this band sounds like this, this, and this. So if you like this, check out this. YouTube, obviously, most people know that. Type in a band you like, and then while you're jamming to that, look on the sidebar. And if you're a music fan like me and Brent are, this is going to keep you going for hours. The next thing you know, you've been listening to 50 different types of music, and 3 hours have gone by while you're sitting around working just because you kept clicking on different things. Google, obviously, if you're into black metal, just Google strange black metal bands or popular black metal bands or black metal or whatever, it's right there. Bandcamp, there's a lot of unsigned artists that will put their stuff on Bandcamp and SoundCloud. That's another one. If you're looking to support, grassroots bands just getting off the ground, you can buy stuff directly from them. That's a definitely good thing to check out. And then actually going to the label sites, going to Metal Blade or going to Nuclear Blast, if you're into the extreme metal stuff, and checking out a lot of the stuff they have to offer and maybe buying directly from them. A lot of times they'll put out these albums free to stream. You can't download them or whatever, but they'll stream them online. Then you can check them out. You can go buy them. So what's your thoughts on all those tools that you can use to seek out new artists?
Love them. Honestly, I do. I still like to go. My old I guess, standby method is to go to YouTube and type in a song I like that I want to hear. Say, I want to hear something by Hatebreed. I've actually been jamming some Hatebreed here lately. And so I'll type in the song I want to hear, and then I'll look over the recommended list on the side. And you can kind of usually tell by band name, and then I'll go by views. Usually the one with the least amount of views is the one I'll click on. And if I like it, I always carry a notebook around with me, one of those little pocket ones.
Yep, I do too.
So if there's one I like, open it up, write the band name down, and then follow the next link. The problem with that, as far as I found for me personally, is I end up with a list like 100 bands long, and I never get back to any of them because I go back listening to Hatebreed.
Right. It becomes too easy to just listen to what's on your iPod. I have the same problem. I'll buy a lot of albums, and I find myself immediately ripping them, whether it's vinyl or whether it's CD or cassette. I immediately find myself either just using the digital download card that it comes with when you buy it, or trying to rip those into MP3s because of the convenience factor of just throwing it on your iPod. And I know I have like a 160 gig iPod, which is a lot bigger than the one. What do you have, like an 8 or 16?
I've actually got both.
Okay, so even still, I've got like way more than you do. So it becomes even easier to just throw your headphones on, put that thing on your waistband, hit play, hit shuffle, and then go on about your housework or going outside to work on something, whatever it is. Yeah. So yeah, I'm right there with you. I fall into that kind of just getting stuck in the rut, so to speak, of listening to the same stuff. And it's not that it's bad or I get tired of it. It's just it's convenience. I think that's it. So so I just laid out here basically stop being lazy and take an hour a week even to just seek out one new band. Now you've got that band found, let's say, or you have a list of 100 like Brent, both me and you do. The next thing you need to do is make it a point to buy one, here's the key word, new release by an active artist. And I emphasize those words. I'll get to it here in a minute. Now, we both talked about monetary aspect. Cost is a huge thing for me. I'm a big vinyl fan, but vinyl is very expensive. I still buy CDs. They're a third of the price sometimes of vinyl. So, but even still, I mean, $10 to some people in a certain budget situation in their life can be a lot of money, and things come up. So, Brent, would you say that's the biggest thing that keeps you from buying new music is just straight up money, or would it be going back to the laziness part? Either one.
Honestly, money more than anything else, because I would love to go and just, stop by a place and be like, all right, here's what I'm in the mood for. What do you got? I know like Whitey Morgan's got a new one out and a few other people that I really enjoy, but it's like, I don't have $15-20 that I can just drop on this. Now, that being said, if I wasn't lazy, I would set the money aside until I could, and then I would go buy it.
So that was my next thing. Do you think, after hearing this, do you think you could set aside a budget to buy even one album a month?
Well, now that I'm being publicly shamed on the podcast, yeah. I mean, no, but seriously, yeah, it's something that I need to do, because I tend to get stuck in the comfort zone of I want to hear something or certain style. I just go to YouTube. There's so many playlists on there, and I just kick it to go, and then I go do whatever it is I'm going to go do. I'm a big fan of falling in love with songs again. Like I heard when I went to Sambo last night, they were playing Live, the old band Live.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Uh-huh.
And I love them, absolutely love them. That Throwing Copper album, amazing, absolutely love it. And on the entire way home, it was like all I wanted to do was listen to Live. Well, that doesn't help anything. I mean, honestly, it doesn't. It makes me feel better. But as far as like supporting the music industry and this and that, what the hell's that doing? And so I get caught up personally in that too. But, doing the new reviews and everything and, the points and everything you've raised and stuff, I think it's something that I need to try to do and that I am going to try and do. Yeah,
I started doing this last month, actually. And I'll get into kind of segueing into the next thing. But before I do that, a lot of this too has to do with collector. I know you're not huge into it. I think probably mostly because of money, would you say?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because you get into the actual like hardcore collecting stuff. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I don't go out of my way to get like ultra rare collector's edition. Like if it's in front of me and I got the money, sure.
Right.
But I just like having a gigantic collect. I collect a lot of things,
Right.
but music's my number one thing. Like I very rarely will get rid of music. I mean, it's going to have to be like something like. I think the last thing I got rid of was like a Bruce Springsteen album because I do not like Bruce Springsteen. So I traded that in. I think there's a Rolling Stones album I didn't like. And, say what you will about them, but I just wasn't a fan of the album. So I traded that in as well. But most of the time I keep all my music, no matter the format. I did actually get rid of some 8-track tapes not too long ago because I no longer had a player and I was like, screw this, forget it. So, yeah, I like to collect the physical aspect of the music, and that's one thing that can kind of also keep me making that budget. And speaking of the budget, like I said, I started doing this not too long ago, and I was like, okay, so I'm going to buy some music. What's out? Well, the new Christian Mistress was coming out, so I pre-ordered that like 2 months ago. That was $25 for special edition vinyl, limited, blah, 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 blah.
That's actually not bad, though.
Yeah, $25. But here's the kicker is I bought that directly from the label. Yeah. So it cuts out the middleman. You can get it cheaper, and it was an exclusive offer. So, that's the first thing you can do if you live far away from a record store is just buy directly from the labels because there's always extra perks, and it's generally cheaper. So do you see that as something you would do in the future, or do you still like record stores mostly?
I don't know. I like paying less for something, but at the same time, I do also like supporting like the local stores and everything. Mm-hmm. But I don't know that I like doing that enough to pay an extra, $5 or $6 for something continuously. You know what I mean?
Right.
And like I said, if you can buy cheaper, go for it. At least, I think I would rather personally buy from the artist more so if I could. But then again, I mean, they're selling the same thing. So it's not like you're getting, you're not benefiting them that much more. So
that, segues perfectly back into, we've talked about where this is the first place you can buy is directly from the labels. But kind of the original place to buy music was record stores. And I put that kind of secondary because, I mean, let's face it, there are not too many record stores anymore. I think around us we have like 2 left. I mean, shoot, there's not even an FYE is gone. How many times we used to go up there and get those they carried the rare imports and stuff like that.
Hell, have you even been in Best Buy lately?
No, I have not. What's their selection like?
It's like 50 CDs. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Wow.
I mean, you remember you used to walk into Best Buy and it literally an entire third of the store was nothing but CDs.
Yeah.
And now you walk in and an entire half of the store is nothing but cell phones and tablets. The other half is I don't know, or the other I guess what 4/5 of the store that's left is appliances and just weird odd and ends TVs and stuff like that. And then you get this little itty bitty cubby hole that's right next to the games. And you have 2 rows of CDs. It's absolutely ridiculous. I spent so much money at Best Buy. They should still be able to survive on what I paid them.
Yeah, same here. That was kind of my go-to place back in the day because they would a lot of times have even if it was an underground artist, they would have a lot of the music cheaper.
Yep.
You could buy a brand new CD, $9.99 typically.
Yep.
So that was definitely a go-to place. And we'll get into the chain stores here in a minute. But back to the record stores, at its core, a lot of them are disappearing. And that's one reason, like you said, I do like to support them, even if it costs a little bit more, to keep it open because it's almost they're relics, so to speak.
Yep.
Even if it's a new record store, it's just something that's oddity in 2015, which is really sad. The going in and knowing who's working there, asking them, I'm in, like you said earlier, I'm into this. Give me some similar artists. Having them put stuff back for you so you can pay for it later, stuff like that. You develop a relationship and you develop holding those physical copies of the music in your hand while you're in there. It's just, if you weren't born, I would say before 1990, you have no idea what I'm talking about essentially because, that's the physical music aspect and picking it up in the store is just something that's amazing. So, supporting your local record stores is about the best thing you can do. Yeah, it doesn't cost a little bit more, but hey, you're going to keep it open. You're keeping a small business open, and they're going to continue to serve customers music, which is what they're there for. That of course, they're there to make some money, but they're there to help people discover new music, get the best music they can from their favorite bands, and just to continue to serve the community. So one example I can give you for that is Heavy Heads Records, which if you listen to our interview with Patrick and Dan from Heavy Heads, it was great. We interviewed them on their grand opening day. And if you haven't listened to it, go back and check it out. It's one of our best interviews we've done. But, I decided, hey, I'm going to start buying some music. So before I even went to the label, I got a hold of them. I sent them a Facebook message. I said, hey, do you have this and do you have this? And they said, nope, but we can get it and we can send it to you. Shipping on this is going to be $5. Have it to you in a week. And, I got it in the mail today. I got the latest Cattle Decapitation and the new Uncle Acid, which apparently is really hard to find on CD. I guess it's already out of press. So,
wow.
yeah, I mean, they went out of their way to send it to me because I was going to give them business. I just paid for them. I paid it over on. I just paid them via PayPal. Quick and easy. Everything went through. Had the CDs in a week and a half, and kind of a side note that the first thing I did when I got them is I pulled the books out and started looking at everything. That's just complete lost art. Nobody does that anymore.
But that is honestly the biggest reason I always loved buying CDs. That was the first thing I would do. You'd get the album, I'd take it to the car because usually I would had to drive a long ways to get it, and put the CD in, and then I would just start looking at the book.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
I would look through the entire thing, at least have to look through and study the pictures and the artwork and all that stuff before I could leave. So
what else do you have to add as far as just buying from your local record store, not your chain store, just the record stores? Anything else that I've missed that you need to touch on?
They're honestly going to be some of the most knowledgeable people in music. And that's one thing, I had never met Dan or Patrick. Whenever we did the interview, I didn't know who they were from anybody else, but that was one thing that really blew me away, is they both knew music, and you don't find that at your chain stores or anything like that. And to me, that's worth a little bit extra price too, because like you said, you're building a relationship, you're helping keep a building or a business open and running, and you're also getting a wealth of knowledge in it too. I've never been to a record store where the people there didn't have an answer for almost every question I gave them. It didn't matter how obscure or weird, something, we don't have that, but we have this, which is similar. At the very least, I got that. Usually, they would, be more than willing to give you a rundown of everything. And so that's something you can't really replace, honestly, I don't think.
The best example I can give you on that is last time we were in Heavy Heads, I wanted some Atomic Rooster. And they only had one album at the time from Atomic Rooster, and I already had it. So I was like, hey, guys, I'm in the mood for some Atomic Rooster. What do you got? And they had to think about it for a little bit. And they pointed out some similar artists to Atomic Rooster that I ended up buying all of them. And while they weren't Atomic Rooster, it was in the same kind of category as them. And they were artists that I knew of and hadn't checked them out. And then there were some that I had never heard of that I checked out. I ended up buying them all. To my detriment of my wallet, but hey, I love them to this day. So,
yep.
That's a perfect example of how knowledgeable they were. I mean, come on, Atomic Rooster. If you go to Best Buy and say that, they're gonna is that the latest washer and dryer company?
Right.
Exactly. That's just a great example. So let's say you don't have one of these stores. Okay. Let's say that you don't have internet connection for whatever reason. There are still people that don't have internet connection.
Hell, I barely have it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot. Seriously, a lot of it has to do with just where you live. And I'm sorry, but some of us don't want to live in a giant city just to have the latest and greatest of everything. I don't plan on moving to a city anytime soon because I like my peace and quiet.
Amen.
Contrary to some of my music, but
anyway, you want your peace to listen to your music. See, there's the difference.
Moving on, chain stores. That's the next thing I had. What if you do have a Best Buy, Target, Walmart? What if that's just about the only place in your town that sells music? I still think it's a fantastic place to just go buy music. And I'm not against seeing a CD like you said, the Dean Martin CD at Walmart. Did you buy your Dean Martin CD there?
I think I did.
How much did you pay for it?
Oh, like $6.
There you go. And that's why I think chain stores are still a great place to buy music if that's your only option. They're cheap. They're going to carry a lot of stuff. I remember seeing let's see, it was Black Sabbath Volume 4 in the $5 bin. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't pass that up for $5. And I mean, yeah, it's not the vinyl, blah, blah, blah. But hey, it's music. And, if you're starving for new music, it's a cheap way to get it. And, a Walmart or a Target, Best Buy, they might not carry much, but they're going to probably carry something for you. And that's another thing I like about them is maybe they're not carrying what you want, but that's going to then force you, if that's the only place to buy music from, it's going to force you to check out new artists. That's kind of the one thing that I liked about not having the internet back in the day was buying, the albums off the covers. And, okay, this looks like it's going to be gangster rap. Okay, well, I'm going to give it a shot. This looks like it's going to be death metal. Okay, give it a shot. And a lot of that stuff, the album covers did not match the music, and it wasn't what I expected, which then just opened up my mind to even more music. So definitely check out chain stores if you can't get anything else. Brent, your thoughts on chain stores?
I spent way too much money at chain stores. Whether it was the FYE, who always had like the weird stuff. Half the time you couldn't get the popular stuff because it was always sold out.
Yeah.
But especially if you were like into like the more extreme metal and everything, you could always find the weird stuff. Now you might be paying a lot more, but they always had it. So I spent a lot of money there, and especially at Best Buy. I'm not kidding. It was routine. We'd get paid like every Friday or something like that. And me and some buddies would always go up there. I mean, we would leave with like 40 CDs between like three of us.
Yeah.
And, we did that like weekly. It wasn't just every now and then thing. It was literally a weekly endeavor. Now, the main reason we did that was because the only record store that I knew of in town at the time was twice the price for the same thing. And, at the time, I didn't care. I was going to get what was cheaper so I could get more. And so, yeah, I mean, if it's all you've got, go for it. I part of the reason I don't buy a lot of stuff from like Walmart unless I know it's like, kind of your clean stuff, like your Hank Williams, Dean Martin,
right,
that kind of stuff, because I don't know if they still do it, but at least they used to edit everything. And at the time, even now, honestly, I don't want my CDs edited. I really don't.
It just ruins the flow of everything. Like I really don't care about what words are being used, and nothing's going to offend me either way.
Right.
But when you just have those spaces in there, or sometimes they'll completely change the cover art or completely omit a song, it just ruins everything.
Yeah, exactly. Of course, I remember going to FYE and they would have the extreme metal ones like in the special foil so you couldn't actually see the cover.
Yeah.
I would buy it every time.
Yeah, me too.
It might as well have been a magnet just sucking the money out of my wallet. I was definitely buying the one with like the band cover art,
Yep, same here.
So I mean that's my only problem with like Walmarts and stuff. But honestly, I think they've gotten away from some of that, except for maybe some more of the more extreme. But
well, I think a lot of that stuff they're just not even going to carry.
Yeah.
But I think they still carry a lot of stuff that I would say is acceptable to most average listeners.
Oh yeah.
That is not something that's super popular. So I mean, still you're going to gain some music knowledge by just taking a shot on something at Walmart every now and then.
Yep, definitely.
So last up is buying music at live shows. You go to concerts. Brent, we mentioned earlier you picking up one item. I'll tell you right now that I might not buy a shirt because I'll wear whatever shirts. I don't care. I want to spend my money on music. And I always buy pretty much all the music I can. And Brent, I'll tell you a story. Brent, I don't know if you remember. I believe it was let's see. Yeah, it was Skeleton Witch, Black Dahlia Murder, and a couple other bands. Yeah. I went by every band's merch table. I had no idea who they were, obviously, other than Skeleton Witch and Black Dahlia Murder. And I bought vinyl or CD from every single band. All right. So here I am, holding armfuls, literally, of vinyl. And people are moshing and slamming and everything, and all these bands, and here I am with armfuls of vinyl trying to just move around. It was probably the most hilarious looking thing ever from the outsider perspective. Yeah. But that I was so excited to have that music in my hands while the band was playing. It's hard to describe, and it may be cheesy, but hey, I mean that's one thing I absolutely love to do, and that money went straight to the bands. Yeah. It didn't go to a label. It went straight to the bands to get them down the road to the next town and feed them. So any more thoughts? I know you mentioned it earlier, but any more thoughts on live shows and buying music from live shows?
Yeah, didn't you actually get the like a special edition like red vinyl or something from Skeleton?
Yeah.
Because you could only get it at a live show or something.
Yeah, and that's another thing that they're starting to do, not just with the live shows, but just the exclusives, offering exclusive physical discs with bonus tracks or expanded editions, only 500 available, stuff like that. It's kind of gimmick sales tactics to get people to spend their money on physical music, which I absolutely love. I'm a sucker for it as long as it's relatively cheap. But yeah, that's definitely one thing I was excited for. So.
Yeah, actually, I remember that, and it was actually quite humorous because you literally like both hands full, and I think you even had stuff stuffed in your pockets too.
I did,
and I mean it was good stuff. I remember because I had actually gone over, and I don't remember. It seems like one of them had like something Wolf or something in the name with them.
Wolfhammer. That's it, Wolfhammer.
And I really enjoyed them. I thought they were a pretty cool band. I was impressed. Never heard of them before then, and I didn't have like enough actual physical money on me because that's the only problem with buying at a live show is oftentimes you're having to pay cash.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't have that much cash. Like the only thing I think I could get was like, I think the guy gave me like 3 or 4 buttons for a $5 bill, mainly because he liked the Mass Effect button that I had.
Oh yeah. I remember that. Yeah.
And, I mean, so that was all I could do, but hell, I mean, given my little small part. But I actually prefer buying stuff at the concerts. I don't do the like T-shirts and stuff that much anymore either, mainly because most of mine are so old now that they don't even have sleeves anymore. That I just cut them off,
Well, and it's probably just because we're old. I mean, I'll wear whatever, I'm going to start stocking up on Branson Tourist T-shirts, I think, because they're 3 for $10. You can't pass that up.
You can't. That's great. But yeah, I would prefer to buy everything I did or everything I buy at a live show, but it's not always feasible. But I always try to at least get, if nothing else, a button, a patch, something.
Yeah. So, I think we've given everybody kind of a really good layout here, and let's backtrack just a little bit. I mean, the first thing to be a music fan, again, in 2015 is stop being lazy, take an hour a week, seek out music, use the internet to your advantage. Don't download any music, stream music, just look on, Wikipedia or anything. Last FM, we listed a bunch of these. You can go back and check them if you missed it. Just tools to give you new artists. Second thing to do, make it a point to buy even one new release a month, one every other month. It's a new release by an active artist. Again, I emphasized those words earlier, and I'll get into that in part 2, which we'll mention here in a second. And then where to buy. Buy directly from the label online. You can buy at local record stores, chain stores, and live shows. So I basically laid out an exact plan for everybody to find new music, discover new music, and support new music. So on this initial plan, Brent, what are your thoughts?
I like it. I do. I like it. It means I need to get off my ass and, get some money stashed away so I can get some new tunes. But
I think that's how I designed this. I'm the most frugal person ever, and I think this is all achievable off of somebody who doesn't want to spend hardly any money as well.
Yeah, I like it.
So next, we'll get into part 2 of this, and that is how to buy music from inactive artists or inactive labels. Maybe that some of the band members are dead, that label is defunct. Are you really supporting them? And that's what we'll get into next time on part 2. So thanks for checking the show out. Brent, you got anything else to add before we get out of here?
No, I'm good, bro.
All right. Until next time. See ya.
Peace.